Welcome to the Recycle Podcast, where we discuss everyday issues from a mental health perspective. We are your hosts, Dr. Rashonda Strickland,
Dr. LaFanya Jones-Hines,
and Dr. Nichelle Wall. Now, don't get it twisted. We're not going to be your stereotypical therapist.
What we will be is informative, down to earth, a little spicy, and vulnerable.
All right, interns, turn up your volume, grab your pen and paper. It's supervision time. As a reminder, this podcast is not meant to take the place of a relationship with a licensed mental health professional.
Welcome back to session 42. I love misery.
Ha, y'all want to know what that is, huh?
I know.
It ain't nothing nice.
I know. Y'all, this one right here y'all may hear Dr. Jones-Hines get a little rowdy because infidelity is like, I can't stand lies, cheaters, and manipulators.
Y'all hear that new
thieves.
last name? Y'all hear that? Mm-hmm. Y'all heard it? We're going to work on it. We're going to call a lot of names. It's probably not hers because we forgetful.
Yes.
Yeah, I
We
might
have
have
to
to
get
go
used
to
to
like Dr. JH or something because my brain's going to be like,
That's okay. That's all right. I got to get used to it myself. Okay, so y'all know y'all wondering what this session is about, and it's basically about infidelity. And we all know what it is. It's cheating, being unfaithful to your spouse or significant other. And yeah, we just getting ready to get into this.
Can I put a clarifier out
Yes.
there? So when we say cheating or infidelity, what we mean is not abiding by the rules, regulations, protocol, systems that y'all have set up in y'all's relationship.
You not abiding by the contract.
Yeah, we're not saying nothing traditional or non-traditional. It's just whatever is in y'all's relationship.
Yes. I like that. I can't do it. Yeah, that.
And I want to say, please remember that each person defines their own, type, what that means. And y'all have to come to an agreement based off y'all's relationship on what that is.
Negotiate.
Yeah.
Go back and listen to, whatever session number that is about negotiating in a relationship,
Yeah.
if you don't remember.
And please don't take this as us judging you in your relationship. Whatever you like and want for your relationship, that is completely up to you.
Yeah.
You and them.
Yes. Or her or him.
Yep. This is just informational purposes. So let's jump into it, guys.
All right. One of the things that people tend to want to do is when infidelity is introduced into the relationship is they want to know why. Off top. They want to know why. And the thing about it is, I understand you want to know why because you want to know what the reason was. What is it you? Was it them? What they gonna say? Like, you just want to know something. And we really do need to tell you all, and I hate to bust the bubble, but I'm just gonna say it. Why does not relieve the pain. It's not gonna give you the answer that you want, because why is going to follow up with another why, and why is going to follow up with a why.
Yeah, it's a way to place blame, you know, not accept ownership or whatever it is, but it's not going to change the fact that somebody or both parties or however many parties have stepped outside the contract.
Yeah.
You're in breach.
Yeah. So when I talk with my clients that have had infidelity within their relationships, I usually break it down between three people. So you have, which this came from a book that I read several years ago called Not Just Friends. And they say that there's an affair partner. So that is the person that is the extra individual being added. You have a betrayal partner, which is the one that stepped outside of the relationship. And then you have an involved partner. So that's the person that has been cheated on. So I think, if we maybe kind of use some terms like that so that when we're talking, we know who is who.
Okay.
Maybe that might help.
Give us the three again.
So a fair partner is the person that is added into the relationship. The betrayal partner is the one that's cheating. And then the involved partner is the one that was cheated on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that might, so we
Don't confuse them.
Yeah. Don't confuse people.
I got you. So, Dr. Wall, do you want to start with your list, or you want me to start with mine?
I can start.
Okay.
So we wanted to first kick it off with the areas of infidelity, because once we were doing our research and trying to get everybody together and on the same page, we realized that it's a difference between the areas of infidelity and then the types of infidelity or the types of affair. So we're going to jump into that. So the first area that we kind of came across was emotional. And so emotional affair, and this kind of goes across the board for all of the areas, is anytime you have allowed someone that is not your significant other or others to be put into the position that is theirs. So if you kind of just keep that in your mind, it'll kind of help you. So this area is going to be emotional. So that is the emotions that you are giving out to somebody. You are, sharing intimate details of your life with that person, how you feel about things. These are the people that you lean on. You have like misplaced this friend or other or co-worker or whatever.
You're investing time, you're investing energy.
You're connecting with them in a way that should not be connecting, because you are not free to connect.
The contract, whatever's in y'all's
outside
contract.
the rules of engagement.
And so I have a question for you ladies. I used to, so of course, Dr. Jones Hines is against cheating, affairs, infidelity, all of that. So I used to think about when affairs happen, like, is it worse? Is it worse when a man have a sexual affair or an emotional affair? And same thing for a woman. I mean, I know both of them are bad, but I'm just saying.
I think if we go with a stereotypical kind of very traditional gender response, that emotional affairs affect women, let me say, or female leaning individuals more deeply, because that's one of the first things that you hear. Do you love her? That kind of stuff, because there's been like a status breach. And it's easier to separate out a sexual affair because there's no real investment in that relationship. You haven't, connected with them. You haven't bonded with that person. So there's no, it seems as if it's easier for, the betrayal person to let them go. Again, stereotypically, I think men deal with sexual affairs much harder than emotional affairs. I think they still have a difficult time with emotional affairs, but sexual affairs, because again, they're about what we tell men about masculinity, what we tell men about being a man and being the head of your household, and what we tell men about sexuality and what that means to them as an individual. So and this is going to sound worse than what I mean it, but you've allowed another person into your body. And then, you see what I'm saying? So
someone has penetrated your body.
Yeah. When this was supposed to be all for me, basically.
I mean, I agree with what you're saying. The first thing that always pops up in my mind is songs. So you got songs like Sideline. You got Monica, you got that old Moke and Steph song. He's mine. You may have had him once, but I got him all the time. You have all these songs that's talking about the sexual aspects of it, but they not talking about, whatever. They're like, you only got his physical person. Oh, you thought that was okay? Like, yeah, he was over there, but who he coming home to?
Yeah.
Both of y'all.
Right.
Technically.
Right.
Yes.
And I think what you were saying also about men or those that identify as men, that is also true as well. But you do tend to see it to be kind of one-sided. It's more of a breakdown that I've noticed, especially like in clients. They're like, how could you do this to me? It's like this entitlement over the woman. And I don't know if that's still, you know, a throwback to the patriarchy of our society or the misogyny, respectability politics that are still going on. I don't really know what that is, but let's just say a lot of times when we have couples come in that maybe the husband or the male in the situation cheated first or whatever, and then the woman cheated, whether it was agreed upon or not agreed upon, it's a whole other level of emotion, drama, revenge. Like, it's not the same. It's like, okay, you can dish it out, but you can't take it. And I don't know if y'all have watched this show, but what is it called? Something about something, but it's something with Huntsville. Chemo brain, y'all. I had it in my head.
Something about something.
I like that show.
Something of marriage in Huntsville, something like that. But they have this couple on, well, they have several couples on there that I believe have extramarital affairs. But this couple called Martell and Melody Holt. Like, that's
those names sound familiar for some reason.
Yeah, that's their biggest thing on the show, is that he has consistently cheated on his wife for years. The other, what was the title? The
affair partner.
The affair partner has been with him for years. Full-blown mistress, has gotten pregnant by him maybe a couple of times, and then this last time she said, I'm not, you know, going to do away with the baby, so I'm going to keep it.
Gotcha.
Oh, wow.
And then the involved chunked the deuce.
Wow.
Went on about her life. She couldn't take no more. And they actually recently were on the Steve Harvey show. Well, not them, but he was on the Steve Harvey show publicly apologizing for once about what he had done to her.
Wow.
Were they involved or the affair?
The husband in the relationship that cheated. Yeah.
Wow. So that's deep. So I agree with both of you ladies with your answers. And I would take it even a little dial back as well, just to say, usually I explain to my couples, like, it's easier, not that it's easy, but easier for a woman to accept a man having a sexual affair, because like Dr. Strickland was saying earlier, there's no attachment, because we typically I guess put men in this category of, oh, they can have sex with anybody and not have any attachment to it, to them. But then when they have an emotional affair, it's like, no, you've given this woman your heart, because now you're connecting with her.
Yeah.
And then vice versa with the woman. If a woman has sex with a man, have sex with the man, it's like, oh, wait a minute, no, you already connected with him, because typically women don't have sex, you know, as easily as men do. I know that's stereotyping, but I'm just...
And there's a spectrum. So guys, please understand that even if we are saying something that sounds very traditional or stereotypical, that we understand that there's a spectrum to all of that, but it's very hard to capture all of the spectrums on a podcast.
Yeah.
So just bear that in mind.
Do y'all ever just kind of sit back and just think about like how stupid that is, though, to think that way? Like, it's just like, you really think gender gives you enough reason to go do something? When the only difference is
body parts,
and they really not different. It's just some of them is internal. if we need to have an anatomy,
right,
the shaft and the clitoris, same thing. The testicles and the ovaries, same thing. Okay.
One is a innie and one is a outie.
You know, it's just, and I'm not saying like strength and all that kind of stuff, but I'm saying you are breaking.
But our body map is the same.
Yes, the body map is the same, but it's just crazy because you're breaking all of that down to a gender, and that makes no logical sense.
Yeah,
like we're not gonna do this, or at least we're not gonna do this no more.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I think is funny though, and I've talked with different people over the years, is that as progressive as we and let me specifically talk about American society. As progressive as we like to believe we are super traditional when it comes to how we act and behave.
Yes. Oh yeah.
So yeah, we want equality or equity in so many areas, but then behind closed doors, we fall into this very, 1940s kind of mindset and believe things like that because I am X gender, that equals
certain things,
right?
Yeah.
Certain characteristics, certain demeanor, certain just persona. Yeah,
absolutely. Okay.
Well, to continue with that, another one that we wanted to talk about that's similar to the emotional area of infidelity is cyber infidelity.
So cyber infidelity is basically when you keep your affair online. So this would be things like being in chat rooms, being on dating apps, but you never take the conversation off of the dating app. Things like Second Life. And for those that are not sure what Second Life is, it's a live simulation almost where you create an avatar of yourself and you actually live a different life online.
Meet pixies and fairies.
You can
and
work,
stuff.
you can, purchase things. Like it literally is as if you are living a second life.
that is so crazy to me, but okay.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
So it's literally, but you only keep things online. You never take it off. So you will still do all of the same types of things. This may include stuff like sexting, sending pictures, but you're never going to actually meet this person in person. This would also include, webcam, video chat, stuff like that.
OnlyFans.
Oh yeah.
If it's not approved in your contract.
So again, cyber is you keep it all online or in some sort of web-based technology.
So if you are one of those people who is in this type of entanglement and you're wondering why your significant other is upset because it's just on cyber, you can still have an emotional connection with someone.
You know what I want to ask about cyber? About pornography.
I was just about to say this includes pornography. And remember, we're not saying anything is right or wrong. What we're saying is if this has not been discussed and agreed upon, then that is outside the contract that you have with that particular person. So that would include pornography. I have a couple right now that one is all for pornography and then one that is like, that is of Satan. Like they are on so
Dr. Wall is on one today.
Okay, so let me explain this, y'all. I started taking pre-workout, so I'm like hype, and we're not ready.
We're not feeling it
Y'all,
today. We need to get some of that energy. We need some of that pre-workout.
It normally take me 2 weeks for my body to acclimate. Y'all know I'm so laid back and chill, so it's
But
like
today,
I love it.
but
yes.
They are, they've been coming to me for years. And so we are just now at a place where they have come closer to the middle of what the one that is like, that's of the devil is like, okay, well, this is what I feel is acceptable. This is what I feel is not acceptable. And then this person that is all for it is like, oh, okay. This is what I like. And this is what I don't like. They're still in negotiation. And it, like I said, it's been years, but it's because that particular couple is like digging their heels in. They're very opinionated about everything. So it takes longer. But yeah, pornography is part of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, there are a lot of women that are anti-pornography. I cannot tell you how many women I've come across in personal life as well through doing therapy with people that are very much so against pornography, and to them it is cheating.
Well, and I think for a lot of women, it seems like men can't separate the women from the video and real life because they want the woman to be like the woman in the video or do what she's doing, and it's like no.
First of all, this is from the resident sex therapist. Most pornography is not real.
It's not real.
It is shot over days, sometimes weeks. That is not one take. It's not very interesting to a lot of women because of the nature of the way it's filmed. There's not saying that it's got to have like a whole storyline or anything like that, but it's just it's not stimulating for a lot of people.
Right, because I was going to say for a lot of women, it objectifies women. And that's something that we are not trying to be.
But I always say to me, this can be other people, there's a difference between pornography and erotica. So,
Psych 101 lesson.
Pornography is going to be more your traditional, like, get it in, hardcore, no storyline, no nothing. It's just like horrible acting. You feel like you're watching a 70s show.
Come in and fix your pipes.
It's just a hot mess. And so it's just like, it's a turn off after turn off after turn off. Now, I know a lot of non-wombed people have the ability to turn that aspect off and just look at the visual. However, it also goes out to how people are raised socially. That's not the way women are raised normally. Wombed people are raised normally. And that is the way that a lot of non-wombed people are raised. So with women, once you get into the erotica, it's more nuanced.
Red Shoe Diaries.
Red Shoe Diaries. You get, even if it is like very specific and it gets to the point, it's like, you're not trying to hurt me. You're not trying to like hurt me in a bad way. Let me preface that. Hurt me in a bad way. So there's a difference in those two, and people don't realize that. And then folks don't have that conversation because there's not a lot of sexual education that anybody gets.
I agree with that.
And then the only sex ed is typically the pornography.
Yeah.
And that's horrible.
That'll scare you.
Scare everybody. Be like, oh, this is what this is. Why did I do this?
Yeah. So I think that's something important to keep in mind. So if you have a partner and when you're discussing and negotiating like what is infidelity for the terms of your relationship, being understanding if you have a partner, that is kind of leaning towards pornography is considered to be under the umbrella of cheating, where that idea comes from, and really kind of explore that, because if you don't, then you're just you're going to try to sneak around if you have the opposite, kind of idea. But, it doesn't help you connect and truly understand the other individual. So that's a definite conversation for y'all to have so that you can get the idea behind. And once you have the idea behind, then maybe you will be able to come to some sort of agreement and negotiate on, what is appropriate, since you both now have a understanding of each other's perspective.
And then make sure the conversation happens, because it can also cause insecurity with the involved person.
Yep. Yeah. And you also just want to make sure that y'all on the same page, because if y'all not, these are discussions you should technically be having before you get married to somebody. Like, and if y'all not on the same page, then this is going to be a problem the entire time y'all are together. One person believes in doing it, the other person doesn't. So maybe that's not your person.
And this actually is a conversation you should be having before you start actually dating monogamously.
There's lots of conversations. People just don't like to talk.
Nope.
Y'all better get y'all talk on.
If we got to talk about it, it's not going to happen organically. Don't nothing happen organically unless you plan for it.
Right?
Except for evolution. That's different.
And even we don't get me started. Anyway, speaking of sex.
Yes, that's the next one. You want to jump into that?
Sure. So what I would even call this kind of like an umbrella one, but you have sexual affairs. So this is what most people think of traditionally when they hear the word affair, cheating / infidelity, because those are all pretty much used interchangeably. So this is, the again, we understand this is stereotypical, but most people, when they think of those, they think of a man that's married to a woman, and then, he has an affair with the secretary. Or some woman he meets at a bar, and they have this, like torrid affair for, a couple of years before the wife finds out. So that's what most people think of when they think of sexual affairs. Like that's the
Tradition.
Yeah.
Meeting at the hotel room,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Now, when we say sexual, we mean penetrative sex. We mean oral sex. We mean kissing. We mean holding hands. We mean touching your booties. Like anything that is related to the physical person of someone that is not in the contract with you, that is sexual cheating.
What about fantasy? Like, because this was not part of our research, but just thinking about that, I'm like, fantasizing about someone else outside of your relationship.
I normally put that into the like emotional and sexual. Like I'll combine it, but just because with my couples, I'm like, these are things that you need to discuss. Are fantasies okay? I say this because people don't discuss stuff. Now, I feel like you shouldn't be policing. And I mean that with that word, just like that. You should not be policing your partner. There should be freedom in your relationship. And typically what I see in couples is they haven't had enough conversations, like we were talking about a minute ago. So then they end up being like, you can't do this. They can do whatever they want to do, technically.
Yeah.
But are they willing to sacrifice you in order to do what they want to do? That's what they have to ask themselves.
Yeah. And the thing about that is I think because conversations are not had in relationships, sometimes you don't know. Maybe your significant other is down with the fantasies. I mean, shoot.
Come on, Dr. Jones Hines.
Spice it on up.
Okay. The newly married lady.
Now, what I will say, your biggest sex organ is your brain.
It is.
So if you are not allowing yourself to have some fantasies, now, okay, you might have to train your mind, because you're going from being uncoupled to coupled. So that's different. Y'all have to have those conversations, but have fantasies. Think about stuff. Don't just have the same 2 moves and then it's done, because y'all not going to be having a lot of sex.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know we're going to talk about some of that in a little bit, but I do think that some of that is what also leads to stepping outside of relationships, that dissatisfaction with the sexual parts of the relationship. Now, let's go ahead and get this out the way. And whoever in the comments don't agree, I'm going to die on this hill. Okay.
Die.
There is no excuse to step outside of your relationship. If you guys have said that you're going to be exclusively monogamous, it doesn't matter what traumas, it doesn't matter what arguments you guys have, it doesn't matter if y'all haven't had sex in 5 years. There is no reason for you to step outside of your relationship, because you are making an active choice to hurt your partner.
Yeah.
Because if they find out about this, it is going to devastate them.
Yeah. And by intentionally monogamous, she also means intentionally polygamous as well.
Yes.
That's your contract.
Yes. So whatever relationship type you have, based off the rules that have been set up and the definitions of infidelity, affairs, cheating, if you step outside of that, there is no, in my mind, now that you're not going to find this in no clinical book nowhere. This is Rashonda. This is not Dr. Strickland. There is no justification for that, because you know that this behavior is going to hurt your partner, and you've made an active decision every step of the way, knowing that this, when they find out, because as old folks say, was done in the dark,
comes to light.
So when it comes to the light, it's going to hurt them. You have many other opportunities. You have many other decisions that you can make about how to address the needs in your relationship that include counseling, conversations, leaving. Choosing to hurt your partner does not have to be one of them.
I agree with that. Leave me. I'd rather be on the floor crying, toe up, and owning the fact that I couldn't satisfy you versus I couldn't satisfy you, didn't know, you blamed me, you betrayed me, you were deceptive, and then you cheated on me.
I'd rather you tell me so that I can still respect you, especially if there are children involved. Leave me so that I can still respect you and have a cordial relationship with you, as opposed to you cheat. Because see, if you cheat on me,
Fonny coming out.
Fonny. Not even LaFanya. Fonny is going to be present.
Yeah, we all got, other people in us.
Mm-hmm.
Please don't make them other people come out, because you're gonna have to deal with your consequences, and they're not gonna be pretty. Unless you got somebody that's just gonna lay down and don't care, but that ain't us.
If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's certain tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's ANCHOR.FM.
And then my other thing too, if you are one of those people who have cheated and you are trying to your significant other decided, they may try to reconcile it with you. The thing about that is, don't make it their fault. Because like Dr. Strickland said, that was your choice.
Mm-hmm.
A choice. Didn't nobody put a gun in your head. It was a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And then since you made the choice, don't make it my fault that that's the choice that you made.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like a prompt. Go ahead.
No, so the thing I was going to kind of piggyback off on what you both are saying, I think people get caught up in having a reason versus an explanation.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
And those are different.
There are differences. So versus a justification.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can have a reason and an explanation for why you did what you did and why you made the choice that you made, but it doesn't justify the choice.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You could have a sexless marriage. You could have an emotionally abusive marriage. You could have an emotionally distant, let me not say marriage. Let me just say committed relationship. All of these things could be happening in your type of relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So those are reasons. And the reasons are valid, but the reasons don't, just like they say, the ends don't justify the means. The reasons and the explanations don't justify the behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is even though those explanations may be real, you have to play the tape all the way through. Like I tell my addicts, play the tape all the way through. You know that if you get on this website, I'm gonna just use website. You get on this website, you start communicating with someone, y'all continue to communicate on a daily basis. Then you decide that you're gonna meet. Okay, y'all gonna meet the first time and just have a drink and have a dinner. Next time you're gonna meet at a hotel. Next time y'all just gonna kiss and just kind of talk in the hotel. Next time y'all gonna start taking each other clothes off. Next time your bodies are gonna be touching. So you got to play and then next time your wife gonna find, or your significant other is gonna find out. Next time, you got to play the tape all the way through to the consequences, so that you can then begin to make different decisions, whether or not it's going to be to end the committed relationship that you're in and move on, or if you just gonna start communicating and say what it is that you're not receiving in the relationship that you need.
Mm-hmm. And you end up like Maya on Girlfriends.
Yeah. And if you continue to not receive it after you've made your case for what is missing, then you make the decision on whether you're going to accept that lack of change or whether you're going to move on and move forward with your life.
Because just because you communicate it doesn't mean that they're going to change. They might, but it doesn't mean they have to.
You have to make that choice. Do you need this need met, or is it something you can live without? And that's only a decision you can make. I ain't gonna be able to be in a sexless marriage. Okay, I ain't gonna be able to do it. That's not my cross to bear. Okay,
now that I can have legal
not legal
legal
She said legal. Girl, how old are you? Your legal been there for a minute.
Well, I got the papers on this one.
She said no. Remember we was talking about stake and claim before?
Yeah, but I wanted to give an example of that. So the difference between justification or your explanation / reason would be like, well, you didn't do this for me. You didn't give me this. You didn't give me that. That's a justification versus I was not getting my need met. And instead of me coming to you, I chose to step outside of the marriage. And I want to apologize for that, even though I know I've hurt you.
I had to. Did y'all hear that applause? Let me do it again. That is how you, Dr. Wall. I wish you could say that whole sentence again.
I can't remember chemo brain, but
I know.
y'all know my heart.
Y'all hit, back about 30 seconds on.
Use
on
that
the app.
as your example.
Yeah.
Because that did not justify you by blaming the other person.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't make it their fault. You just said that your needs weren't being met. So I decided to go step out and do something else to get my need met because I didn't talk to you about it first.
Yeah.
It's like what we were talking about with Malcolm and Marie, how he didn't get what he needed to say to her until the very end of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Luckily, she wasn't going nowhere, but to the very end of the movie. And if he had been doing that at the beginning of the night,
that whole movie would have been over.
Okay.
5 minutes.
2 minutes. 2 minute film. Okay. So I think one of the things that we also have to keep in mind that outside of, when people think of infidelity and, any type of stepping outside of a relationship, that it's more than just the romantic / emotional aspects of the relationship.
yes, it is.
So one of the more kind of alternative types of infidelity that a lot of people don't talk about is financial infidelity. And financial infidelity is anything under the umbrella where you are deceitful in some way about the amount of debt that you have. You don't, disclose how much income you have, or if you have assets and this person doesn't know, if you're squandering away money and, kind of
Gambling.
That also, if you are stacking provisions and your partner doesn't know.
Yeah, because why would you not have your own money, but why you gotta hide it? Like, it's okay for you. If you a traditional person, you can have a joint account and a separate account. It's okay. Or if you are not, you can still have a joint home account where all the collective bills go, and then have it separate. I have a couple right now. Well, not a couple. I have an individual that is married right now that is, considering, no longer being with their significant other. And when they went to their little consultation, found there was millions.
Oh, wow.
Millions.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah.
oh.
Yeah. Financial infidelity is a real thing. You know, this includes spending money, outside of what you guys have agreed to.
Yeah.
It also includes consistently overdrafting, your accounts. So there's a lot of ways that you can, be infidelous. I don't know if I made
You can be wrong in your relationship.
Yes. Because it definitely, it's a disadvantage to your partner, and it creates a sense of distrust
And secrecy.
and instability in your partner.
And if any of y'all grew up poor or gone without, that's going to be an area you really not going to be okay with.
Especially if your significant other is someone who grew up poor and you're the one that's hiding it. Oh, that is not a good situation, because now they, like Dr. Strickland was saying, they don't feel secure, and they feel like at any moment in time, they can be back in the situation, especially if they build themselves up.
Ooh, girl, wake up, everything gone. Ooh, you got to die. Cannot.
Okay.
Yeah, that's scary.
It is very scary, and again, this is one of those alternative ones that people don't think about, because when they hear the word infidelity, they immediately go to extramarital,
The traditional definition
the
of
traditional definition, and they don't think about other ways that you can be deceitful in your relationship that has an element of betrayal to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can combine some of these. We do have a last one before we get into that, but the last one is platonic. And this, a lot of people don't think of it this way, But this is how a lot of infidelity starts.
It starts with a conversation.
Yeah. And so it's like, there's nothing wrong with having friends. We're not saying that. But you do need to be cognizant of the fact that you also have a significant other. And so there has to be some balance. There has to be some acceptance that, okay, I need to take this other person into consideration, not to completely change everything about your life, but consideration. And so the platonic ends up being those conversations and friendships that go way beyond what they're supposed to do, to where your significant other feels like an outsider to y'all's relationship.
Yeah, it's, one of the things, I know I'm newly married, but but one of the things that I found for myself, because, and I don't know if you ladies think the same, but because I know what we do for a living, it'll be easy for someone of the opposite sex or same sex either, but someone of the opposite sex to connect to us because of what we do. We're conversationalists as well. And so for me, I just find it will be easier for me to not have friends of the opposite sex because I know what I'm capable of. And how because even before I got married, even before I met my husband, I had a lot of homeboys.
Yeah.
A lot of them. And I was quite fine with them just being my homeboy. It wasn't nothing else involved. It was just them being my homeboy. And when my husband came into my life, he was like, yep, nope, he like you and he like you. No, ma'am.
And I'll say that it's the same thing that we were saying earlier. It's depending on the relationship that you're in and what that person is comfortable with. But I have homeboys that I'm super close to. Y'all met one of them, at the wedding, and he's always going to be in my life. But there will be a time where I have to change the way we interact. It ain't going to be no more, okay, we can, share a hotel room and nothing is going to pop off. No, it's going to be some popping. Off like this. It's going to be pop, pop, pop. Like that's not going to be a good situation. So, I have to be respectful of that. He could still come, but that mean he going to be over there. I'm going to be over here. Like, we probably going to have to both bring significant others and things like that. But what I will say, when you have those close, like tried and true relationships, you just have to make sure that you lead your romantic relationship discussing, these are people that are important to me, and if this is going to be an issue for you, you need to let me know because you're going to have to go. That's and then that person can negotiate, because it's not just I throw my stuff out there and then they don't get to counter it. No, then your significant other can counter that and be like, okay, I hear what you're saying. This is what I would prefer to see kind of change in that relationship. It'll make me feel more comfortable. I also want to spend, time with both of y'all. I want to get to know him, make sure we form a good connection. But certain relationships just ain't going to be able to fly.
Right. And that's what I was just going to say. You have to be mindful of those relationships where even if you don't have any romantic feelings for that person, if they have it, yes. And that's what my husband was suggesting.
He
like,
peeped it.
Yep.
And he said, I saw them eyes.
Opposite sex or same sex.
Yeah.
Because this can even happen with, when you talk about same sex, that's my best friend. That's my best friend. That can happen. You know what I'm saying? It's still, again, it's not a sexual infidelity, but it is an emotional one on some level.
Yes.
So if you are telling your bestie things that you know that your significant other would not be comfortable with, even if your bestie is of the same sex, it still has an element of being an infidelity type of situation. Again, it's not the traditional sense of what most people think in that word, but there are elements and traits of that kind of being present.
Yeah.
And let me put this caveat out there, because I know it's some churchy people out there saying, well, married people shouldn't be hanging out with single people.
That is not true.
First of all, when I do get married, my husband can't be my everything.
No.
He cannot. I have to have friends. I have to have my mama. I have to have parental figures and things of that nature. I have to have my ladies that are on the podcast with me. If I, for some reason, some toxic, dysfunctional reason, think that I need to get all of that stuff from my husband, something is wrong.
Well, and the thing with the single, can't hang out with single friends. I just got married, so all of my friends were married, and I was the one friend that my friends' husbands would be like, yeah, what LaFine? You ain't going with LaFine?
Okay.
What you doing?
My husband loves LaFine.
Yes.
And
So,
I love Derek.
He did not. He be like, do not talk about work when y'all hang out.
Yeah.
Do not talk about work. Go be friends.
Yep.
Exactly. Because I mean, if that was the case, this podcast wouldn't be happening.
Right.
True.
And that's what I was just going to say.
You know?
We're not getting ready to disconnect our relationship with Dr. Wall. Because first of all,
wish I would.
I know, right? We would be the first ones
Y'all know
to
I
be
got
like,
abandonment
where is
issues.
Derek at? That ain't what he wants you to be doing. Where is Rodney at? No, ma'am. I'm calling. I'm calling. Because
Yeah.
we gonna hold each other accountable and be like, yeah, that ain't what you need to be doing, ma'am.
Exactly. You just got to make sure you got your discernment on lock, because everybody in your corner, or everybody in your circle ain't in your corner.
Yes.
right.
You got to remember that. But that's married or single.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
You just have to make sure the single people that you hanging out with are single people that's mature.
Yes. And I'm not trying to pull you into the single life.
Right.
Because, how positive and negative, those two signs pull each other. Positive and positive repel, negative and negative repel. So, from a magnetism standpoint. So, if you have an individual, if you have single friends and they want to get you involved in the, quote unquote single lifestyle, but you are in a committed relationship, you really got to think about, not whether you need to end the friendship. So I don't think that that's necessary, but you got to, make adjustments.
Right. You may not be able to go to the club with them every time. You may be able to go if they doing like a laid back, like lounge one, but not maybe like the DJ one.
Yeah, because
We ain't got no freakniks going on around here.
Right.
Not unless we all going to a workshop with our significant others or something. Like you got to be careful, and that's even with your married people or your committed people.
Yeah.
That's true too. Because if you have married, because you can have couple friends and one person and a couple friend.
Yep.
It's about
Hot
to be
mess.
one of these types of cheaters that we're about to talk about. You can have a couple friend that's one of these types, and they'll try to pull you too.
Yeah.
How you out here wrong?
All wrong.
So since I did a little segue, so let's talk about types. So we got a few different ones,
I ain't
Okay.
got no type.
which then literally listed the type that he liked.
Yes.
So dumb.
All right. So the first type of infidelity is opportunistic. And this one is basically just what it says. You're in a situation or circumstance and the opportunity arises.
Literally.
And so it's basically like you're doing some risk-taking behavior. Alcohol and drugs are sometimes involved. It's just a mess.
These would be things like one night stands.
I call them one-night cheap stands.
That too. It's like, look, what's that over there? Got him.
Yeah. So
It
basically,
just falls in your lap.
yeah,
Literally.
that's what opportunistic is.
I'm sorry.
We're being such 12-year-olds today. Love it. This is right up my alley. I can't wait till we create a separate podcast where we can just let our hair loose and we're not being doctors.
Yes. All right. Oh, wait. Do we have any more to add to that?
No, I feel like that one's pretty self-explanatory. See? That one is self-explanatory. And like we said, an opportunity presented itself. You took the opportunity. It could be a consistent thing where many different opportunities over a course of time present themselves, or it could literally be one time you had a little bit too much to drink and,
Some stuff popped off.
But I think that was pretty, straightforward.
So the second one is obligatory infidelity. And this one is basically you are afraid of rejection. So since that opportunity has presented itself, or you don't want to feel, what is my word? Oh, you have a sense of a need for approval. And so you don't want to experience that rejection.
Yeah. You see this a lot in like office culture, when someone of power hits on someone and they're like, if I don't do this, I'll lose my job. So it is a form of sexual harassment, can be assault. It's a form of coercion as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And go ahead, Dr. Shank.
Also, the thing I was going to add about this one is that, a lot of times a person that engages in kind of obligatory cheating, this is in contrast to, kind of what they truly feel and believe.
Yeah.
So, they would not normally be someone that would have an affair or cheat with somebody, but like we said, fear of rejection, need for approval, need to keep or attain status. There's all kinds of reasons. Again, not justified, but there are all kinds of reasons.
Yeah.
This one is also very similar to one of the cognitive distortions that we talked about called reaction formation. And that's basically when you have an internal drive or an internal thought, but you behave in a way that's inconsistent with what is going on inside. So the example we gave back then was, how people say, if he hits you, he likes you. And it's like, well, no, he, hit me because I get on his nerves. Not because he likes me. But yeah.
Okay. And then this next one is the traditional romantic infidelity. And that's, the sexual.
I feel like we've kind of gone
Relational.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the next one is conflicted romantic. And this one is when you have an intense romantic love for multiple people at the same time. So that thing of, well, I love both of y'all, I can't make a decision. According to this one, I'm not going to say I believe it, but according to this one, that is what that one is.
And this is not polyandry or polyamor or polygamy or just polyamorous relationships, because that is, you guys have made a decision together to be with multiple people.
Yeah. What I see a lot in my personal clients is they realize at this point that they are actually polyamorous, and instead of them not acting on it and going and discussing that with their partner, they go ahead and act on it, and that creates the deceit and the betrayal instead of discussing that. Now you have to realize, if you do decide that you want to be polyamorous, that doesn't mean that you go ahead and act on it regardless of what your partner says. That means you are going to have to get out of the relationship that you are in and find other people who are poly. That's the slang word, so that y'all can enjoy multiple people together.
Yeah. I think the other ones that kind of fall under this category are like the womanizer or the man eater.
Yes.
The man eater.
Yeah. Because, women do it too.
Yeah.
We definitely not going to put up. Yeah. Everybody be out here just sometimes
doing their thugism.
We don't gender stuff like this.
Right.
Wrong is wrong.
It is.
Yeah. And then I believe my last one is y'all know this one's my brain and my lips don't do right together. Commemorative
Look at
infidelity.
You. Bam. First try.
Hit it with
we don't even got to cut that.
I know. All right, and this one is there is no sexual desire, love, or attachment. It's like you're together out of obligation.
When we were talking a little bit earlier, interns, this was when we were saying people that have been married for 20, 30, 40 years, all of a sudden just randomly get divorced, or like when the kids go off to college, they just leave each other because, they like, what, we've been doing this too long. I can't stand you and I'm just ready to be out of here. Yeah. But the difference with this one is these people stay together, and versus leaving each other, they say, you know what? I'm tired of this and I deserve better. I deserve more because you being a lazy blah, 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 or you ain't giving it up like you used to. So you know what? I'm going to go get mine.
Yep.
That's this one.
Yep. There you go.
And the thing is, they truly believe it. Again, we talked about reasons and explanations versus justification. This would be the justification realm. Like this individual truly believes that because their partner is being deficient in some way, that they deserve to whatever it is
elsewhere.
Right, that they want. Which, no. You will see a lot of narcissistic individuals fall in this category.
I was just going to say that.
Now, this does not mean just because we say narcissistic that means you have a narcissistic personality disorder. You can exhibit narcissistic traits and not necessarily have the disorder. So you will see a lot of people that exhibit narcissistic traits that fall in this category. You may also find people that fall under the antisocial umbrella fall under this one as well, because of that sense of entitlement and that, people.
And I would even say histrionic.
Oh, for sure.
So histrionic so when we were in school, we were kind of taught that narcissists are usually men and histrionics are usually women. So it's kind of like the opposite.
Yeah.
The yin and the yang.
And borderlines.
Borderlines. Oh, yeah. Or individuals with borderline personality disorder, to be a little bit more politically correct. But
yes.
Yeah, I would say, remember we talked before about wild, weird, and wary.
Yes.
So your wilds are going to fall here, in your commemorative, because I'm going to use whatever I can internally to give myself the out that what I'm doing is okay. Because I'm not getting what I need. It's a very self-centered, selfish stance to take, because I don't have what I want. I don't get what I need. You're not doing this enough for me. You're not treating me like you used to. You're not doing this, and I want insert whatever it is out after that. So because that, well, okay. I'm gonna go ahead and do what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Again, as we've talked before, this. And what we'll talk about next session, I think we should probably kind of let everybody know that we're going to do a slight series for the month of April. You guys have already listened to, hopefully, our session on the love languages and his needs, her needs. As of course, this one is about infidelity. And next session, we're talking about, after you've experienced an affair in your relationship, on whether you're going to stay or go, because either of those choices are options. And then for the movie mental breakdown for this month, we'll be reviewing both. Why did I get married? So
both of them.
Now that breakdown might be a little bit different, because it'll be 5 hours long if we try to go scene by scene between both movies. So we're not gonna do that to y'all or ourselves. But we will be breaking down both of those. So just to kind of keep you in line, we have a theme for the month about relationships and just kind of things that happen in relationships. All right. So then outside of the ones that Dr. J.H. just listed there.
Oh, before you say your last thing, I wanted to go back to the opportunistic one as well, because that one can remind you of the impulsivity or risk taking from the mania of bipolar as well.
Yes. Very hypersexual. So then there's a couple of other types of affairs or infidelity states, and this one is called the exit affair.
It's going to be the one that just gets you out of the marriage. It really, that's the most simple way to describe it. I don't want you no more, but I can't think of a way to get out, versus just
or I don't want to be to blame,
or I don't. Well, you still gonna be to blame.
I know, but I don't want to be I don't want to be seen as a bad person, which you will still be seen as a bad person. But if I say I want a divorce, it's like I'm automatically seen as the bad person. But if I just have the affair, it's like I'm seen as the bad person, but now we got a reason to leave me. Now you got a reason to leave me.
You force their hand.
Yeah.
Yes, because you make a very good point there, because saying I want a divorce is I'm taking ownership that this is what I want. If I have an affair and you say I want to divorce, that relieves the pressure off of me. And now I get to get away scot-free without actually addressing that I really wanted to leave you.
Yep.
Oh, look at that projection.
It's
all up and through.
Yes.
I get why people do it, but it really don't make no sense, y'all.
Just leave.
I know. I don't know why that's so hard for people. And then the next one would be sexual addiction. You know, if you know anything about addiction, and if you go back and listen to our sessions on addiction, you know, this will tell you a lot about this one. This is, you know, kind of uncontrollable urges. You know, this is going to have some serious implications on your daily living, you know, occupational, social, emotional, all that.
So just understand, just because you're a person that like to have sex a lot, it doesn't mean that you have a sex addiction.
No.
Sex addictions are when your life is not just sex addiction. Addiction is when your life is disrupted because of this said thing that you're continuing to do.
For a certain amount of time.
Yes.
With a certain amount of consequences that come from that. Like, it's not just, oh, I like a lot of that. No, that's not what that is.
Yeah. Examples of this may include, like, you know, you're sneaking off the job to go into the bathroom to handle some individualized
activities.
You may be, you know, having relations with street workers in a risky situation.
And don't care.
And or it may not be that you don't care, you just haven't played the tape all the way through to know that there are natural consequences that's going to come with that.
This may be excessive watching of pornography, you know,
and you go into the bathroom or watch it in inappropriate areas.
Yeah, like if you're sitting at the red light and on your infotainment center, you know, you got, you know, some braziers in the background. You know, it's not gonna be, that's not a healthy thing to be doing. And you're probably gonna get stopped. But, you know, the point is it's going to seep into pretty much every area of your life. You know, your family relationships, your romantic, your friendships, your occupational. Like, it's really going to infiltrate and negatively impact you severely.
That's addiction. If you just like I said earlier, if you just like it a lot, then that's not necessarily an addiction.
No. And then lastly, we have sanctioned affairs. Bet you guys didn't think we was going to talk about that, huh? I know we got to say the best for last. So a sanctioned affair is when you and your partner, if you are in either a monogamous, because this one would be mostly related to a monogamous relationship, because if you are polyamorous, you are already engaging in multiple relationships, that you have given your partner permission to step outside of the relationship in some way. So this what we would call socially the hall pass. You know, and we've all, if you've been in a committed relationship, you done said this before. Well, you know, if I meet Jason Momoa, and I know Lisa Bonet might, you know, whoop my behind, but you know, if I was to meet Jason Momoa, like, I need you to let that happen. That's a hall pass. Yeah. You know, of course, that's just a, you know, fantasy, but there are real life, you know, situations where that does occur, where you and your partner say, okay, well, you and, you know, old girl are okay, but not this one. This may include threesomes or menage a trois. What else would fall into this category?
Shoot, anything that's a hall pass. I mean, it's up to the couple, really.
Swingers. Yep, that would fall under this category as well.
Yeah.
So this is when there are, again, you've been given permission and there's an understanding that we are in a committed relationship, generally monogamous, but you will step outside for this particular reason. So, yeah. All right. So now that you know all about affairs,
tell us what you think.
Did you even know that there were so many different types, the different ways, and you know, all that kind of stuff? Because again, when people think affair, they think, you know, they really kind of just boils down to one way.
Yeah.
Man steps out on woman, midlife crisis kind of thing, or woman is dissatisfied at home and lonely. So then she steps out. But, you know, there's multiple ways. It's a very complex kind of set of circumstances. There are complex reasons why people do this and behind it. But again, you have to be responsible for the choices that you make and understand that if you've made a commitment to a person and you have designed certain rules and, understandings between you, then you got to operate within that. And if you no longer want to, then, the best thing that you can do for them is to leave them alone. And we always end off with a quote. Mm-hmm. This one will be brought to you by Dr. Wall.
This quote is from an anonymous source this time, and it reads, "Most people cheat because they're paying more attention to what they're missing rather than what they have."
Must be this volume control.
So, okay, interns, process your notes. Be sure to catch us next session and find us on all major platforms at The Recycled Podcast.
If you're a new intern, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share.
Thanks for listening. And remember, we are shifting and reshaping our psyche through healing conversations and connections, one discussion at a time.